The 2026 college football preseason is officially here, so says College Football This Week with Joey and Doug. And among other things, I had to have a talk with Doug last week. Just following the show, we talked about what were things that were appropriate show-worthy things, quote-unquote, show-worthy things to talk about. And you know what? We may just mention a few of those tonight here on the show. Doug Gann, Joey McWilliams, glad to be with you all tonight here. And Doug, I hope that you had a great 250th birthday for this country yesterday and a great holiday weekend as we are bringing in the preseason now in 2026.
Look, I'm just excited about 300. I mean, now it was, I don't tell you. No, it's tremendous to see the country united. My wife and I had a big discussion about that too, because there was certain events happen that bring the country together. And we've seen them through history. Most of them, unfortunately, are tragedies. This was a special occasion, and it brought a lot of the country together. Even if just for one day, it's special and lets you know that, God bless America. This is the place to be.
Absolutely. Well, you and I both got to see the bicentennial.
Yes.
And it would take the grace of God to see the tricentennial, I know, for both of us.
Right. That's right.
But we did get to see the semi-quincentennial. There you go.
I'll take your word for it. And it's guaranteed. I'm gonna guarantee it. If we're here for 300, we're going live.
We are totally going live. Absolutely.
Right. If we're alive, we will go live.
We will go live. Just go ahead and put that on your calendars right now, folks. And we'll talk about whatever college football looks like then. You know what college football looks like right now, Doug? It looks like it's 53 days away from week 0 for the NAIA on a Thursday night. And we'll have a lot to talk about as we get a little bit closer to that. So we're going to be bringing up some more of those matchups. Hey, listen, if you're watching us live, be sure and give us a shout out in the chat tonight. Join the community. Tell us who you are, where you're listening or watching from, and what team you're going to be cheering for in 2026, even if it's not in NAIA, because, we talk about college football across the board. We just like to specialize in NAIA because it's a lot of fun. It's college football in its purest form, and we're going to talk about it tonight. Doug, one thing really quickly as we get into the college football side of it, we have now officially changed into a new athletic year. It is now officially 2026-2027. This is when a lot of the college realignments will take place, and you'll see different things that, programs going to different places across the country. It always makes that shift at the new year. And I wanted to mention new NAIA members as of Wednesday, July 1st. There are 6 new members of the NAIA. Now, this is across the board, not just football, but it starts with Andrew College from Cuthbert, Georgia, and that is the only football team that's going to be joining the NAIA. Now, it's one of 3 new teams in NAIA football this year. We'll talk about that. But Champion Christian College from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and that's kind of over in our neck of the woods, both of us, fairly close to Hot Springs.
Look, it's so good to have them because they've been gathering steam. They recruit a lot of baseball and basketball out of this area. It's good to see them going NIA because that's going to give them a lot of credibility as they make that move up.
Yeah, it really will. And, there aren't a lot of NAIA programs in the Arkansas area. There are a few of them, but definitely a new one right there. Hey, Dave, it's good to see you tonight. Shout out to Dave Sellen, and let me make sure I get my comments up there. Dave, God bless you, man. Happy 4th of July, belated, happy Independence, and happy birthday to this country. Glad that you're with us tonight, Dave. A couple more here. Let me get these through. Georgia Southern University, East Georgia campus. East Georgia, Doug, was a junior college, and it was taken into the Georgia Southern University fold. Right. And, of course, that's a Division I school, and this is the East Georgia campus, I believe. It's like Swainsboro, I believe, is where they're located. I didn't know there was a Swainsboro, Georgia, but now we do. So if you're from Swainsboro.
See what you find out here on the show.
That's right. That's exactly right. If you're from Swainsboro, Georgia, go ahead and give us a shout-out tonight. Nevada State from Henderson, Nevada, joining the NAIA ranks, and they're also joining the what was known formerly as the Golden State Athletic Conference. It's the Great Southwest Athletic Conference right now. United States Sports Academy. Doug, love this, out of Daphne, Alabama. And Doug, I have to ask you, we asked before we got on the air, I said, Doug, have you ever heard of the United States Sports University? Doug, I hadn't. Had you?
No, I haven't, and it's down here in my neck of the woods, but haven't heard of it at all.
It's been around for a while, though, and they are now going to be fielding NAIA teams for 26-27. And then Wesleyan College out of Macon, Georgia, moving from Division III and joining the Southern States Athletic Conference. Now, of all these, Andrew is the only one. Andrew is going to be an independent in 26-27. We'll talk about their schedule a little bit later on, actually in just a couple of weeks. We've had a chance, Doug had a chance to visit with the Andrew coach earlier on Midwest Sports Net earlier this year. Fantastic visit with him. Thought he was a great guy. Looking forward to getting to see Andrew because they've had a program now for 2 years. It's been junior college. Both of those years were successful. I believe they were 8-1 last year. I can go back and check on that. Had only one loss last year. Fantastic year for Andrew, and I think they're going to be good for NAI football. They'll join the Appalachian Athletic Conference in 27-28, so we'll be watching for them. Matt, happy birthday to the United States, and a fantastic birthday. I thought it was. Listen,
Joey,
I hope you guys get to do a lot of things.
Did you tell me where Champion was going? What conference?
I did not. I did not. Let me look that up. I would imagine, yeah. This says they're joining the Continental Athletic Conference, which in the NAI, it's what used to be known as the Independents. It had a little bit longer name, but it was the Independents, and so they put them all together and pretty much made a conference out of it. So that's where they'll be going.
It's an interesting look because you have a lot of Red River Conference there for other sports, and in basketball, what LCU does, which isn't a long trip from there, because we go into Arkansas later in this year, in this season, to play Arkansas Baptist, who is in the Sooner Athletic Conference, and so it's interesting of which way that they went, and that was a check.
Yeah, and it's all about the fit. And you know what also, too, Doug? You got to have that invite.
That's correct.
So, you know, that we don't, from our perspective, we don't know. I haven't chased that one down yet. So maybe I should look into that and find out. But I think
they didn't get invited. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, you know, who knows?
That's right.
Who knows if it's going to be there? But you got to have that invite. And especially as you make the move. Now, making it to NAI is one thing. But if you're going to transition, let's say NAI team's transitioning to Division II, we're just going a little bit farther, guys. We're getting into the football. But if you're making that transition there, you pretty much have to have a sponsor conference if you're going to make the move from NAI into Division II. Right. And pretty much the same thing, D2 to D1. If you're going to make that move there, you pretty much have to have a sponsor conference. So it's just a little bit different road to travel down. Hey, guys, and you guys who are watching the chat again, Dave, Matt, good to see you guys. Anyone else, go ahead and let us know that you're watching us tonight. Let's talk football, and let's talk, well, you know what tonight we need to do? We're going to talk about quarterbacks tonight. Every time I say we're going to have a shorter program, Doug just laughs because we know it's going to go longer. But we did want to mention a few quarterbacks tonight, and I think this list that we have, honestly, it's a little bit shorter. Well, it's definitely shorter than the one last year. Last year, when I talked about returning quarterbacks, Doug, that were coming back and really could have an impact on not only their team, not only their conference, but the NAI as a whole, man, there were so many of them. I mean, it was led by Jackson Waring and Jackson Dooley, and so many of those guys that were playing such a big part, Chase Spencer, you know, all of those guys that you knew were going to have a big part of their team. And I mean, the list was just huge. I think the list is a little bit smaller this year because all those guys graduated. And I mean, some of those teams are going to come back. Yeah, they're going to come back with big opportunities, but those guys are gone. They're going to be seeing a lot of new people. Who are the guys who are returning now that could have an impact? So,
and look, that list it's difficult to come by because if you know what these NIA schools do, and they don't, through no fault of their own, I don't believe, these rosters are held on to for a little while and they're not updated. Schedules get updated quicker, but rosters aren't as easy to get. I mean, LCU Media Day is still a month away. Now I've got access to who all's there and who's going to be there. But the problem is these guys are recruiting not only in February and March, they're recruiting again in July to get them on campus because things change. I mean, you're constantly trying to make sure these guys get back there for your summer camp.
Yeah, and you know, Doug, they're still even recruiting too because every now and again, even today, you know, even at this point in time in July, they're going to be poached. There's going to be a D1 team, a D2 team that's going to come and try to poach some of these guys if they had a great season last year.
Well, we had an interview with a former NFLer and college football coach now at Southern University, Marshall Faulk.
Who was that, Doug? Who was that?
Multi-Hall of Famer, four-time Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk joined us in the dugout, had that interview up, and he was in town recruiting and doing some things for Southern University. LCU plays Southern University in week 3, game 4. And it was great to have him in there and got to visit with him about San Diego State and about his time in winning a Super Bowl and his time doing the media. But he says in the interview that, we schedule these games because they may have some players on the team that I need. And so, the NAI All-American Colin Polk, who was a freshman last year for LCU, is now at McNeese. And so these colleges schedule because they can go in and get one of these kids out of there too. Speaking of coaching.
Hello?
Yes, I got you.
Okay. No, I thought you were still going, speaking of coaching. So
no. That was yes. So, but it was great to have Marshall. Marshall, the only player to rush for 12,000 yards and catch 6,000 yards. So that's
an incredible number.
It was tremendous. It was tremendous.
Absolutely. Sorry, Doug. I didn't want to interrupt you, and I had a couple of things I was about to pull up, and I thought, did he?
Yes, let's go. Roll on. Okay.
All right. We're gonna hold. I have to hold Doug to one thought right there. So, but just remember Marshall Faulk as we pull up Dave. Let's hear from Dave. Shout out and a big thank you to Henchman 21. Hey, Henchman 21. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I found the Morningside versus Dordt game on his channel. I think Morningside won that game, by the way. Yeah. Hadn't been able to find it anywhere else. Really appreciated being able to go back and watch it. Well, yeah, Dave, my goodness. And what a game that was, too. And, of course, Morningside, definitely, that was a big-time win. That was a big-time win for Morningside then to make the push to for sure be in the playoffs. Go ahead and be a part. Grab the conference championship along the way, too. So big shout-out to Henchman 21. Randy, happy 4th. Are you aware that Midway University is leaving sprint football behind for the NAIA? Yes, Randy, I was aware of that, and they are going to be making the move, but it will be in 27-28, so it's not going to be a part of the 26 calendar this year. But, yes, I was aware of that as well, and I'm wondering, since St. Mary of the Woods College is leaving behind sprint football and will be a part of the NAI football scene in 2026, Midway will be a part of the football scene in 2027. By the way, Midway is an NAI an NAI university overall. I'm wondering how many more sprint football teams are going to be a part of that league, and if they all just say, you know what, let's just all make the move, and we could see that NAI football number go up to 100, Doug.
Look, that's what we're all sitting around and waiting on. But you've got to remember that there may be some that drop off. But as you see these teams morphing to sprint football, more and more of them are going to start doing that as well. And I think that's a great thing. It's a way to get their feet wet for it. But it's going to be interesting to see how these sprint football teams do when they make the move.
Yeah, they're going to have to recruit some bigger boys.
Yeah,
I mean, literally going to have to recruit some bigger boys. That 178-pound weight limit. Yeah,
and we talked about that earlier this season. We talked about it way back in last season. That was before this week. We talked about it in our wrap-ups on there. 178-pound weight limit there, and we were talking about the sidelines on that Kaiser Grandview championship. How big those guys are! You better bring it.
All right, speaking of big guys, and speaking then of where we said we have to bookmark Doug on Marshall Faulk, let me just go ahead and put this one out there because we had to talk with Doug. And by the way, Corey hung around last week after the show, Corey Thorpe, NAIF ball, and Doug was just, we talk a little bit before the show, we talk a little bit after the show. It just happens,
right.
You want to wind down, make sure you're doing everything right. Doug's letting us know all kinds of things. And I remembered that he was going to get to interview Marshall Faulk, and he didn't put it out there. And all right, community, let us know in the chat. Is interviewing Marshall Faulk show-worthy? I think it is. I think that's something you just have to talk about, Doug.
Well, it's hard to get in the way of Corey when he's on.
Okay.
That's the thing. And look, the interview is posted. It's on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. I think it even made it to Twitter on there too. It was great to talk with Marshall. He was, like I said, he was in town doing some. Well, I say he was in town doing some recruiting. He was in playing golf on Friday and on Saturday with some different organizations. But Southern University has him a good one. If you look back at his coaching staff that's on there, he's got some NFLers, and he makes a tremendous comment. I said, Coach, you're going around getting these NFL guys on your staff. I said, it's going to be difficult for people. And he says, Doug, life ain't fair.
He's right. Coach. He is exactly right. I heard it, by the way, Dave, exactly right. See, that's what I thought. I may have even used those words, Dave.
He did.
That's right. So that's right. What you have to do. I heard a preacher, and I've heard him say it a number of times, Doug, favor ain't fair.
That's correct.
So
I've heard that.
That's the way it is. So yeah, you gotta play like that.
In the dugout that day, and the dugout's what we call our studio and what our place is. It's comically the DOUGOUT dugout, but that's what we call it. Had two former NFLers in the studio in one day, which was really cool. Of course, Marshall Faulk was there, and you guys may remember the Bluegrass Miracle when LSU beats Kentucky, but Marcus Randall, the quarterback that throws it to Devery Henderson, was in the house that day as well. Good friend of the program, and looking forward to having Marcus on some more in the next few weeks talking football.
All right. So see, that's all football, and it was college football then for those guys.
Yep.
And to put a bow on that, put a bow on. Did you have something else, Doug?
I did. He signed an LSU helmet for me. I didn't know if you had a spot for it on your wall back there, but I can probably not. I'm just throwing it out there to you, buddy.
You know, my wall is so full right now of everything else. That's a whole different story. I may add that in because I actually have a plan, Doug. It may make it to put a bow on this segment. Marshall Faulk, to tie it all back together, is not a small man.
No, not at all. It was great to have Marshall in there. That's correct.
So anyway, he will not. He probably never would have played sprint football, and he's just a big guy. All right, so tonight we're talking returning quarterbacks. Let's talk about quarterbacks, Doug, that are going to return to their teams this year, as far as we know.
Yes.
You mentioned some of these things. I'm not sure exactly because the rosters aren't out there, but we have ways of, we have a little intel every now and again to let us know some of these things. And this first one I'm going to start with, we had intel here on the show about this guy. So I'm going to start with returning quarterbacks. And this quarterback, I believe, is going to make a big difference for his team. Already just a stellar team in the Hart Conference. The Baker Wildcats, to say, Doug, they had a little bit of an offseason last year, I think is it's fair. They started off slow, 0-3. It was a tough start, win a ton of games after that, ultimately fall to Benedictine. They don't make the playoffs, but they had a great run. And Truman Julesgaard, one of my favorite quarterbacks from last season, one of my favorite quarterbacks from the NAI in the last 10 years, just a quality person, great quarterback. He's moving on. Sam Hegeman is coming back, and we got that from Coach Regalado earlier in the year in 2026. Now, if you remember Sam Hegeman, he stepped in for Julesgaard at the end of the 24 season. Now, he got a lot of time with Baker in his freshman year back in 2022, played some behind Julesgaard in 23. In 24, Baker's on a playoff run. They're part of a tri-conference championship in the Hart South, and Julesgaard got hurt in the last game of the season. So, and it was very, very early in the game. Hegeman comes in, leads the team to a win, so they win their season finale, and then they go on to play Pikeville. Now, if you remember this one, if you're watching us in the chat, and you remember this one, that was the Pikeville team that was 5-5. And I picked them. I really did. Not because I didn't believe in Hegeman, but I was a big Julesgaard fan, and when I thought that he was going out, I went, you know what, this Pikeville team I think is incredibly underrated anyway. And they wound up winning that game in Baldwin City on the road. So that's the last time we saw Hegeman on the field. Last year in 2025, Doug, he was the quarterback's coach for Baker. And Coach Regalado said, man, he came in and did a fantastic job.
Look, when we were able to talk to him, his eyes lit up about that, because there aren't many people that have that program knowledge that are able to step back in and have watched it from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And in the NAIA, we have seen people come off the bench to come in and do that. And when you step back and you see it from a coach's vantage point, the game tends to slow down. And that's what he lit up about, is that he's just extremely excited about this opportunity, because the decision making that you're going to get out of Hegeman is going to be such a key.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I'm totally stoked for him. I think it's fantastic for Baker. I think that the potential there is very, very high for them. And they do have a tough schedule. Don't get me wrong. Of course, that Hart schedule is going to be tough. And playing Mid-America Nazarene, playing against Grandview and more. I think that's a tough road to hoe for him. But I'm excited for him and the opportunity that's there. Now, I don't see Charles in the chat tonight. I'm just going to say that right now. So, Charles, if you're watching us from Florida or beyond, you have to know that we're going to talk about C.J. Brooks.
Yeah,
C.J. Brooks returning to Graceland, and the last time we saw him, well, he stepped out because he had an injury, a double bone break in his forearm last year. And so Brooks went out, didn't get to play the rest of the season. And Doug, he did some of what Hegeman did, because from the sideline, he got to help out his, freshman quarterback coming in, got to share a lot with him and, give as much as he could information to make it a better time. I think that says Grackland. Man,
it does say Grackland.
Okay, we got to fix that, Doug. We can't have that on the show. That is unacceptable.
The beauty of it is you can fix it on the fly, and that's the greatness to all of this. See,
there we go.
I didn't see Grackland at all. All I see is Graceland.
Okay, I appreciate that, Doug. Thanks for being there for me on that one.
Yeah.
And let's talk about CJ just a little bit more, because this is something, we didn't talk about this as much. He has an arm. He flat out has an arm. He really does. And I don't think, I really thought maybe we'd get to see more of the connections between him and Gerald Monroe, because Monroe was just a fantastic receiver, and it didn't work out as well because of injuries. But let's look back a little bit. If you want to get some comparisons, let's even go to high school. Some of you all may remember Joe Milton. I remember Joe Milton, Doug, because I'm a Tennessee fan. I like the Vols, big time UT Vols fan, have been for 40 years. And to think about him and Joe Milton, I think that guy could throw it 90 yards in the air. It was just some ridiculous number. And they had a pretty good season with Milton as quarterback. Not the best. They didn't make their run, but they did. I think they did make the playoffs that his senior season after he came in. He played Michigan, Tennessee out of Cannon. He played high school ball at Olympia High School in Orlando, Florida. Why is this important? Well, let's bring up another one. Trevor Siemian played at Northwestern College. You may remember Trevor Siemian. He actually won a Super Bowl ring in Super Bowl 50, Doug. Now, he wasn't the starting quarterback. That Peyton Manning guy was the starting quarterback.
Yeah,
that Manning fellow, who, by the way, played at Tennessee, just saying. Anyway, Siemian, a great NFL career. Still playing, I believe.
Where was Peyton from, though, originally? Where did he born and grow up?
New Orleans, something like that.
Let's slow that. That's
anyway. Right. But Siemian played high school football at Olympia High School in Orlando, Florida. C.J. Brooks beat both their records. He has several of the Olympia High School records. I think he had more than 2,700 passing yards his senior season. And Doug, I think that was in only 10 games. I don't know if those numbers exactly. He just flat out can get it done. And he's been, one of his coaches on his team said he's the best quarterback in the NAI this year. Now, granted, that's probably a little bit of bias coming from the Graceland coaching staff, but I'm not going to say he's not. I think he has to be right up there.
And look, when you have a big arm like he does, and he's able to make the throws outside the numbers, and when you're able to do that, when you're able to go and make all the throws, you hear that term thrown around a lot. If you can get vertical and you can get behind these defenders, then that gives you such an opportunity for the big strike, because there are a lot of quarterbacks that are game managers. He's got an aggressive mentality, and he's going to go after it, and he's going to try to push it down the field. And heaven forbid, if you give a step to him, he's going to make the throw down the field, and they're going to put up and build off of that 400+ yard offense that they hung the hat on last year.
Yeah, and you make a very good point too, because he's going to have some arms to throw to. He's got some good receivers, and they brought in some receivers as well. So that one's going to be really good. Coach Stayback has a big time opportunity there at Graceland, and I know, again, part of that tough Hart Conference, Hart North. And if you maybe this is the year they get past Grandview, maybe, I don't know. Robert signing on. Ran a fireworks stand, just now finished, so figured I would sign on. You're still running one on the 5th? Man, I ran those for years, Robert. I was a youth pastor for, oh my goodness, a long time. I was a youth group member. Oh, we sold fireworks 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and for many years. But thanks for coming on. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for signing on.
We had, of course, we stayed home last night, and this weekend it was my wife and I. The kids were all gone with their families elsewhere, and the fireworks started. Some folks were popping their fireworks in the daytime, and I just won't ever understand that. But they were out doing this at night, and the dogs went crazy, and I was like, man, I wish they'd stop these fireworks. I really believe I was one step from get off my lawn. It was, I was like, when did I get that old that I don't like this? But
okay, well, then let's stop right there, because we've got another quarterback we have to talk about. But we're going back to Doug with the information that's show worthy. All right, guys, Dave, we need some help.
This one was.
We need some help on this one. If you have a birthday, either just prior to or just following the show, does Doug need to mention that his birthday has come around? Because he's 56 now, folks.
I am.
And when was the birthday, Doug?
It was actually the Friday of the Sunday when you were off in Frisco, Texas, doing that. So we didn't have a show that week.
Oh,
it had already passed. So I didn't really think that it was worthy of it. It was June 25th is when it was.
Okay. And, well, I thought it was worthy.
Well,
we have to give shout out to Doug.
So now I'm the elder statesman.
Absolutely, you are. And if we're going to put beneath his name the graphic that says "Get off my lawn." So
look,
there we are.
It's we loved it, and I appreciate the thoughts, and certainly it's been a tremendous year that we've been doing this, and I'm looking forward to the tricentennial. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. We will go live that night. That's already on. All right, Doug, how about this one? Lindsey Wilson. I put 2 up here because I'm not sure yet, and I definitely, I would imagine, there's quarterback competition throughout the country. And I think even if you have that spot locked up and locked in, the coach is still going to say, but you know what? We need to have that competition in camp. Someone may run with the ones all the time, but they're still there. Lindsey Wilson has, you want to talk about the opportunity for something big there, and they can do it with one of 2 young men. Pryor Lamb last year was the starting quarterback for the Blue Raiders, Doug. Week 1 comes in, they blow out Texas Wesleyan, a team that had lost only 1 game under head coach Brad Sherrod to that point in time. And so Texas Wesleyan travels over to Kentucky. Lindsey Wilson sends them back home crying. 57-31. Lamb went off for 333 yards, 4 touchdowns. Big-time night. And you're like, okay, man, Lindsey Wilson is back. Next game, Lamb goes out injured in the first quarter, and, man, what are you going to do? Oh, well, Tate Rice stepped in. By the way, yeah.
Tate Rice stepped in big time, and he actually was recognized as one of the Commonwealth players in football for small college there at Kentucky. Those Commonwealth awards are big, Doug. And threw for 2,494 yards for the rest of the year, 29 passing touchdowns, rallied, huge rally against Indiana Wesleyan in the second round. They were down 20-0, I think, and came back to win by no, that was the 57-31 game, but they did beat Texas Wesleyan pretty solid in week 1, and then just came up short against Grandview, but everyone came up short against Grandview. So both of those guys are back. You have a junior and a senior. You have both quarterbacks with starting experience and capability. I think whoever comes out of that one, Doug, man, they could lead their team to a Mid-South championship.
Well, you've got elite skill guys that are out there. You've got elite coaching that's out there. The play is there for whichever one of these great quarterbacks to be successful. They've got opportunities to throw for 2,500, 3,000 yards. It's great offense around them. So they're going to be successful no matter who it is. But as we saw last year, you're just an injury away from being there. And we've seen what happens if you don't have a quality backup, what can happen.
Exactly. And you know what? I mean, we hated that CJ got injured. That was big, and that was tough for Graceland. And Lindsey Wilson, Pryor Lamb gets injured, and they didn't miss a beat.
That's right.
Just did not miss a beat. And I don't know that Lamb could have done it any better than what Rice did. And I said with respect to both players. He just came in and he did everything he was asked to do. So big time play for Lindsey Wilson. How about one more? We've got a couple more here tonight, guys. And let me ask this to the community while we're sitting here dropping some names. Who is a returning quarterback that you think warrants mention? And I will tell you right now in advance, next week we're going to talk about some running backs. So go ahead and get those out there. If there's somebody that you think is important, let us know. But let's go over to the Frontier Conference for just a little bit. Montana Tech. You know, Doug, pretty good season for those Ore Diggers, and I wish that Henchman 21 was here to get in on the chat tonight. 12-1 Montana Tech went last year behind the arm of Jarrett Wilson. And Doug, they were sorting things out. Coach Sampson was sorting things out at the start of the year because he had 4 quarterbacks that came in. And Henchman 21 gave me the lowdown on all of them in the preseason last year. Is great. I got some good notes from him, and he's just, documenting everything that all 4 of these guys are all about. Turns out, by the way, that was the same thing for Carroll, too. Coach Purcell had 4 guys that he was confident about. We'll talk about one of those in a moment, too. But it turns out that they go with either he went 2 quarterbacks with Jarrett Wilson and with Jake Casablanca. That's who it was. And so they started both of them and did the whole 2 quarterback system for a while. They did it through 2 games. They won both games, and then Coach Sampson says, all right, look, we're just going to go with Wilson from here on out. Didn't miss a beat. 10 more wins after that. They go 12-1 or 12-0 into that final loss. And I think Wilson's numbers were pretty good. Let me see if I have those up there. Yeah, 2,875 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, and the Frontier East Offensive Player of the Year. He's returning, if he plays, he's returning. I think that he could be one of the more impactful players in the league as well.
I think he really will. He's got an opportunity. What's going to make it look better for him too? Not only his elite skills on that offensive side, but that amazing defense that Montana Tech has too. They're going to be able to set the tone, and you're going to see some lopsided wins in that game. But speaking just about Jarrett, I like his mobility. I like that he's able to get out of the pocket and throw the ball well. So you will see a little bit more. Now that the reigning offensive player of the year MVP is gone, that's not back around. I think Jarrett's got to be a front runner for that.
Yeah, and you know what? When you have a guy like Torgerson coming back, that just takes the heat off of you. If he can carry the ball like he does, there's so much heat that he takes off, or he can get the passes, catch the. He does it all. So anyway, Levi Torgerson can be that great receiver for him. It's gonna help a lot. All right, one more, Doug. How about this one? Wayland Baptist, Kalen Davis from Wayland Baptist. Now I know that I believe you got to see him play last year.
We did
for Wayland Baptist. Davis was a freshman last year. His numbers were not maybe as well. They weren't. They weren't quite as dominant as some of these other players that we're talking about right now. However, he comes from a 5A1 school in Texas, played at Denton Ryan, And if you're not familiar with Texas high school football, 5A, it's big time there. And Denton is pretty much part of the Dallas metro area. It's right there just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So he played it at a quality school, put up big numbers there, was solid there. He goes to play for Wayland Baptist, helps the team to a 6-3 record, Doug. And the 3 previous years, they went 2-8, 2-8, 4-6, as Coach Hinojos is getting his really things going there in Plainview. And then 6-3 last year. And there are 2 things about that, Doug, I want to mention and then let you talk about what you saw. Number one, it was 6 consecutive wins. So they started off a little slow. One of them was a loss to Louisiana Christian, which I'm sure you'll mention. Then they win 6 straight after that. They wind up losing the season finale to Texas Wesleyan. I actually got to see that game, was there in Fort Worth and got to watch that one and spoke with Coach Hinojos. And, one of the things he mentioned, he said, man, I don't know how we're doing this because, obviously they're winning games, but they were starting to run out of players. I mean, injury left and right. And it was a war of attrition that they were just starting to lose, I guess, at that point in time. So if he has a team that's healthy, and that defense is going to go a long way for him. He may not have to have the super high numbers to win ball games, but I think he's going to have a big time impact for his team. Doug?
Well, the beauty of what Kalen Davis does, Joey, is that he is a true dual threat quarterback. He can run it, he can throw it, and he's not going to quit. You've seen the numbers that he put up. You said in high school. He puts those up there. I saw him. LCU had a pretty good lead in that game last year. End up winning it 49-43, 47-43. I'd have to figure that out. But it was a game that LCU led by 21 points going into the fourth quarter. There were 30 some odd points up. That battle in what is week 2 between LCU and Wayland Baptist is going to be a tremendous one. Of course, Wayland up in Plainview, Texas, which is very difficult to get to, but we will be there, not far from that Dallas-Fort Worth area, I don't believe. But Kalen Davis has all the skills. He can get outside. He can run. You have to defend him at all times. You can't lay back and say, this guy's not going to run. You've got to put somebody on him. And what that does is opens up that extra line. You're not able to you have to put a spy on him, so you can't put that extra person back in coverage. He is going to be one of the better quarterbacks to watch. This freshman class has 2 or 3 really good ones in it.
Yes, they absolutely do. And I know we're talking about returning quarterbacks, so I'm not talking about as many that are freshmen, but yeah, I think there's some pretty solid freshmen there. He'll be a sophomore this year, but that was a good group last year. By the way, Doug, just in case you were thinking that's not quite Dallas-Fort Worth, man, you're going to drive a little farther than that. That's like south of Amarillo.
Look, I'm trying to justify it in my mind because we just got I've got my driver, and I know this sounds bad, but we get off the air with our show around midnight on Friday nights, and we've got to be there for a 6 p.m. kickoff, and we're driving our crew over there. So it's 9 hours, no stops. Of course, there'll be a couple of stops. So it's going to be 10 hours. We'll do the 6 o'clock game. I feel like John Madden in this because we're just going to load up, and then we'll turn around and be back home for church Sunday morning. So it's going to be a quick trip. We'll go up through Wichita Falls, which we spent a lot of time in as a kid. And, that's the old cliche. You can't get there from here.
Yeah. Hey, listen, when you're driving in West Texas at night, and I remember I used to call games in the Lone Star Conference. So, Southeastern Oklahoma State University was one of a number of Oklahoma schools in the Lone Star Conference. I have been to both Canyon, Texas, which is there near Amarillo, right, and Portales, New Mexico, which is eastern New Mexico. It's just into the state of New Mexico. Let me tell you, Doug, it's a lot of flat road, and they call that area the Llano Estacado. You remember that country song came out a few years back, Llano Estacado?
No.
Look it up. It's I wasn't necessarily a fan, but it's out there in case anyone remembers that song. And what it means is staked plains, and what they would do back in the olden days before you and I were around, Doug. Yes. When they would travel, they would go out and they would put stakes in the ground every so often, so they would know how to get back. It was basically their trail of breadcrumbs, because all of it looks alike. It's just a bunch of flat plains. You're just out there in the middle of nowhere. And I've driven out there, and I'm just like, just stay on the road. Coming back from Portales in the middle of the night, 2 and 3 in the morning, one street light that's like 3 miles down the road, and you can still see it because it's so flat.
Right.
And just stay on this highway. Don't get off the highway. You're going to get home if you do this. So,
look, that was what happened with us last year when we go to OPSU. I fly into Amarillo and drive up, do the game, drive back to Amarillo that night, and it was something.
Yes, Tool Envy. You just never know what you're going to get here on college football this week. You get Spanish lessons. The Llano Estacado. Look it up. Staked plains. Staked. Staked. Staked plains.
All right. So speaking of cicadas. All right. Now that you segue that into it.
Hey, Tool Envy, glad you're here tonight. Go ahead.
No, I saw the coolest. You've all seen the little brown shell of the cicada when it flies away and it leaves that little brown shell on the pine trees or wherever they're at, right?
Yeah.
Surely you've seen that. Okay.
I just never call it I'll go ahead. That's fine.
I know, but so what happens is it's almost like a cocoon, I guess is what it is. It's just a leftover shell. I got a picture the other day. I came home and it was actually on top. And so the new was connected to the old and coming out of there. And I'd never seen one on there before, but I'll get that picture and send it over to you. That has nothing to do with football other than it's football season. And that's when I'm telling you about it.
There you go. Okay, that's fine. I actually, Doug, I'm not kidding. I saw one on the porch this morning, and I left it there so the grandkids, when they came in, could see it as well.
Well, I've got the green one that's new coming out of there. And what did you locust? What do you?
I was just going to say we called it cicada or locust, or Katie did.
What did I say?
No. Cicada.
Well, yeah, cicada.
I don't. That's why I left it alone, Doug. That's why I left it alone. I was just
sometimes, Joey, you just make it too easy.
I made it. I make it too difficult sometimes. I apologize. Hey, listen. Let's do a couple more here, Doug, while we're here.
Please,
and if anyone has one to add in, Tool Envy, you do not have a returning quarterback for your team, dude. Sorry about you. I mean, not to say that you don't have great quarterbacks there. I know they're in house. But we're talking returning quarterbacks tonight, so you don't have one. But potentially have one here. How about this one? Caden Hewitt coming back.
Yeah, Caden's gonna be a good one.
He's one of those that has an arm too. That was one of the things when I talked with Coach Purcell last year, and looking forward, Doug. Now that 50 states in 50 days is 2/3 of the way through, there'll be a lot more football and volleyball previews coming up on Midwest Sports Net. And so I hope to get to talk with Coach Purcell sometime soon. He was talking about, same thing, 4 quarterbacks. And he said they all can just chunk it. I'm trying to remember the words he used exactly. Something about like just throw it 100 miles an hour. So he's got the guns there at Carroll to make something happen. And Hewitt got it done for him, I think, this year. I think the big win, I want to say it was the win over, I think they played College of Idaho. I think that was the big win near the end of the year. Just a shocker, and he took care of business.
And it's watching these guys that come back. When you see at this level, guys that are coming back, it's got that extra year. They've caught up with the speed of the game. It makes such a difference. We talked earlier about the quarterback that was the quarterback's coach on it that's coming back. When you get adjusted to the speed of the game, because that's the question that they have for a lot of people is, how do you adjust to the speed of the college level? How do you to the league? How do you adjust to that? Well, you're getting older and you're adjusting to it too. It's these quarterbacks like Caden that adjust to it and come back. Now they've got a second year. They've got a returning year of it. Man, he's going to be fun to watch.
He will be. He absolutely will be. Tool Envy, sweating it a little bit right now. Waiting to see who's going to step up. I think they'll be fine too. Yeah, Doug and I, by the way, differ on who we think may step up. So but that's not tonight's show.
Imagine that.
I know. What were the odds?
Right.
What were the odds? All right, let's go one more, Doug, and I'll let you take this one. Someone returning for his team that could have an impact on his league and maybe the MVP or the NAIA as a whole.
he had an impact on the Sooner Athletic Conference last year. He was voted the newcomer of the year. Redshirt freshman Bryce Perkins comes in, scored his first touchdown in the McNeese game. It was a rushing quarterback. It was a rushing touchdown. So he's able to run the ball and throw the ball. What's going to be a plus for Bryce this year is his entire offensive line is coming back. His wide receivers are coming back, including Omar Davis, E.J. Scott, Darius Washington, Xavier. Anyway, we'll get back to that. And his running back, who was the athlete of the year, is back there too. So it's not like he's having to do it on his own. You don't have to go back there and win the games. You're not just managing the game, but you're going back there and not having to make the throws because the guys are going to get open. The offensive line is going to be there, and Bryce is going to be able to put up big numbers. If you don't believe it, ask the folks out in Surprise, Arizona, what he was able to do last year. And he comes up and he has some big games. The Tex West game got away from him between the first and second quarter last year, and that led to that big blowout. But watch for Bryce Perkins out of Van Buren, Arkansas, to come in. Special relationship with Coach Ben McLaughlin because they're both from small towns in Arkansas, and it's something about that helps them gel. Bryce even stayed in town over the summer. He's here now. We've got an interview coming up with him. Keep your eye on Bryce Perkins. He's going to be one of those quarterbacks. The only reason he's not getting more talk is he's out of the Sooner Athletic Conference in a conference that has not been a national priority, but just keep an eye on him.
I understand, and you're right. Doug, they have to win a game in the playoffs. They have to win a postseason game, and the Sooner Athletic Conference has not done that in football. The CSFL has, so if you're watching, you're like, well, this team or that team. I mean, Langston was in the Central States Football League back when, and that was, it was a conference, but for some people it was more of a scheduling alliance. They just needed to be together, and so.
And the unfortunate thing is, most of the time it's not been close. They've gone over there and just and got kind of curb stomped, and it's and you're not going to get a second team in.
No, and part of it too. I mean, you're looking at some teams like the Arizona Christian teams that went and the OUAZ teams that went as like the 16 seed in a 16 team field, and they'd get sent to Morningside. That was a beatdown waiting to happen. It really was.
That's tough. LCU went to the playoffs, 3 years ago when Drew was there, who's now out at Arizona Christian University. And because of one of those tiebreakers on there, and the Sooner Athletic did not get a second team in. So that's 2 out of the last 3 years. There've been a 3-way tie atop the league. And it's just, you're going to get one team out of it, something changes. And they know that, we'll see what Bryce is able to do. And I'm trying not to be a homer, but look out. He's going to be a good one.
All right. It's okay, Doug. You can be a homer here tonight. That's fine.
Did I
go ahead?
Or did you lose me?
I've still got you, Doug. If you're still there, I've still got you. I don't know. Hope people are seeing me, so we'll see.
Well, I don't have you anymore, Joey, so I don't know if it's me. Guys in the chat.
All right.
Hearing this anyway. But let me post this.
Still going strong as far as I know. I mean, I can still see me on there, and Doug may have lost me. I hate to hear that, but I think we're still up there. Let us know in the chat. We're about to wrap things up anyway, so Doug, we did lose Doug. We got you. Doug's breaking up. So, okay, that's kind of what I thought. That was what I thought was happening, so we'll just go from there. All right, Tool Envy, thanks for letting us know. Doug will come back here in a moment, and as we do that, let me wrap this up because there was one more thing that I was wanting to mention tonight. Oh well, I need Doug back in for this one, so I think we'll be able to. Are we going to be able to get Doug back in? I don't know. Let me find out here. Doug's trying to get back in. Let's see if we can get him back in.
There we are.
There's Doug. All right.
The squirrel got sidetracked over there that was powering the system. So Gotcha. Thank you. No, my goodness. No, I switched back over to, because we had some issues with it. And I don't know if I'm back on 720, Joey. That might be the key. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, well, no, I did want to ask you here in just a moment. I'm trying to get my notes out so that I can do that really, really quickly. So I wanted to find out what you learned on the show tonight.
What did I learn on the show tonight? I learned on the show tonight that even though quarterbacks may be freshmen, may be returning, maybe they're, if you've got the skill guys around you and if you've got that elite level of coaching, you're going to be able to go out there and be successful.
All right. Well, no, and I agree with you entirely on that. And I learned tonight, Doug, in just making sure that I remembered everything right, I learned that Pryor Lamb and Tate Rice are both looking forward to this season. And they are both excited about coming in. This is in my notes getting ready. And they're both excited about this season ahead. So I think that Lindsey Wilson, what I learned is that Lindsey Wilson is in good shape. So
Lindsey Wilson is going to make a great run at it. The quarterbacks that you talked about tonight that you brought up was a tremendous list. I can't wait till we see more of these quarterbacks named and more of these returners as they start filtering into their July practices and kids start getting back on campus.
All right, let's hear from Matt here. Hey, Joey, what about your Dak State quarterback? All right, so let's see. Trey Heddick. If I remember it right, Heddick should be a senior this year. I can't give you his numbers, but I think if he's healthy all the way through, I think they're in good shape. And I just that's the only thing. I think he needs to be healthy all the way through. And I would imagine. Of course, I don't want to speak for any of these coaches, Doug. I don't want to speak for Coach Anderson or anything like that, but. If you just lay off of Heddick in the spring, I mean, whatever when they put those jumbo helmets on him anymore,
right.
and Heddick's jersey should be like bright volunteer orange. Okay, I mean everyone in the stands and like from space should know where his jersey is. Don't touch him.
Right.
Not that he's fragile, but just keep him in good shape. And I think if you get Heddick from start to finish in a regular season and, everything else around them going as it should, then I think Dakota State puts itself back in a good position again. Now, do you have to win out? I don't think here's what let me add to this, Matt, really quickly. And I see, Doug, it's because I said we were going to have a short show. Just
that's right, I know.
But no, Matt, here's my take on this too. I don't think Dickinson State has the same year it had last year. And so I don't think, that's going to be a tough out in the Frontier East. Montana Tech's going to be a tough out. I think Mayville State is going to be a tough out. So if I'm Dakota State, well, first you want to win those pre-conference matchups or pre-divisional matchups as much as you can so you get yourself in a good position and make sure that the playoff committee knows that you can win outside of your division. I don't know that Dakota State can go undefeated in that East, and so there may be one loss or two. Don't let any of them be in the pre-divisional matchups and see what they can do there. I still thought if anyone deserved to be in the playoffs that wasn't last year, Dakota State was the one. But I think Heddick goes a long way toward that. But yeah, if he's healthy start to finish, that's my take.
Look, and it's so tragic too, because you talk about Kenny staying healthy and staying away from him. We jokingly talk about the big helmet and the orange vest. I won't say what color you said, the 10 of something or another. But we've seen so many non-contact injuries just this summer and spring in high school 7-on-7s and spring games that kids are out for that. And I'm telling you, if you're a backup or reserve that's not playing in there at this level, man, don't stay away from that portal because you're just one play away from it. And that's just an aside on talking about keeping him safe and not being fragile. But we've seen so many things just derail a season.
Yeah, you never know when your number's going to be called. So
that's right.
Stick around. It could be right there. All right, Doug, we know what we've learned on the show tonight. Matt, thank you for that question. So here's my request to the chat. Number one, if you have any other quarterbacks that we missed that are returning, please let us know. Next week, we're going to be talking about some running backs. Maybe you have somebody in mind, and maybe there's someone on the team that you cheer for that you think is going to have a great season. So be ready to tell us about that. You can even let us know, connect with us email-wise or, on social media in some way else. Doug, we talked about Marshall Falk, and we talked about your birthday, so we always want to talk about those things. Really quickly, what are you talking about this week on 446 Sports?
We are loading up on our interviews as we start to preview the seasons. We've got 6 high schools and 1 college that we'll cover this season. And so we're starting full on to prepare for the season. We've got, like I said, that list of guys that are coming in for LCU. Those will start this week. So we are not streaming. We are simply prepping for the season. And man, I don't know that I've ever, and I've done high school football for a long, long time, but I don't know if I've been as excited as I am about the kickoff of the NAIA season, because I am fully entrenched in it and going to be on 3 campuses on week 0.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Let me pitch to you something for Midwest Sports Net really quickly. Monday and Tuesday videos for sure on both of those days. On Tuesday, we'll get to hear from Coach Avant Mitchell from Olivet Nazarene. That is how you pronounce his name, Avant Mitchell. And I'm excited. I didn't get a chance to visit with him last year, Doug, so we'll be previewing. Did the year before, his first season there. They've gone 6-4 each of the last 2 years, so looking forward to hearing about the Tigers on Tuesday. And folks, on Monday, tune in to Midwest Sports Net, because tomorrow we have a special, The Summit, and I had a chance to visit with David Pollock. And we talked about football. We talked about his faith. It's near a half hour, but I enjoyed every bit of it. And I just encourage, stop by. Don't always drop the names, because sometimes I never know, if it's a live show, if they're going to be able to show up. So I don't know that I believe in jinx, Doug, but I've seen stuff. Man, I've seen stuff. But I'm not afraid to drop this name here. So I encourage all of you, check it out. It'll be online tomorrow on Midwest Sports Net. David Pollock on the summit with me, and it was a blast.
Look, I just love it. Anytime you get these perspectives and these guys that have been successful and have done it, I mean, it's so good to hear. That's what, and man, it's so humbling that people agree to, when I said, hey, let's get Marshall over there. Sure. When you reach out on faith to David, and next thing you know, he's a Monday night episode. So man, just keep doing what you're doing, Joey. And man, God is good.
God is good. We're enjoying it. And God is good, Doug, because we get to hang out with people like the folks in the chat. Matt, Tool Envy, Dave, Robert on the show tonight after fireworks, Randy on the show tonight as well, Katie too, I believe, on the show tonight as well. We just want to say thank you very much for being a part of it. 53 days, Doug. 53 days until football, and you're going to be on a college campus that night. So,
and the beauty, practices are way closer than that. We've got practices that are starting in July. We'll have kids back on campus. I am loving it.
Absolutely. Tool Envy, happy 4th. Happy 4th to you. Happy 250th birthday to this country. And Doug, as we close out, I will tell you, I can hear fireworks going off even here in Durant, Oklahoma right now. They're still celebrating. We are blessed. God bless America. God bless our troops. Gentlemen, start your engines. Let's have a great week. For Doug Gann.
Play ball.
I can't. Play ball. Absolutely. For Doug Gann, I'm Joey McWilliams. God bless you all. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great, great night, and we will see you next Sunday.